So many people make New Year's resolutions that they'll never keep, so it's best to make goals for your life that aren't tied to the new year. Hi, my name is Ava, and here are 6 ways to become a better person. It's better to make goals rather than making New Year's resolutions because many people make resolutions without putting much thought into it. They just make them because that's what you're supposed to do or that's what everyone else is doing. That's why it's best to make goals, because when you're making goals, that means you actually want to change your life and not just because it's a new year. And it's very normal to give up on New Year's resolutions. That's just the thing with them, that you start them in the beginning of the year and then you fall off towards the middle or towards the end. So this year, take some time to evaluate on what you want to change and how you want your life to be. My first tip is to not get stuck planning. Many people plan and plan about what they want to do or how they want their life to be, but then they never move on to execute it. It is very important to plan your life, and you should take some time to reflect on yourself and figure out what you want to change. A good way to reflect on your life is first imagine yourself how you want to be in 5 years, 3 years, and then 1 year. And this is just a good way to realize what your goals are and to figure out what steps you need to take to achieve them. So you need to stop overthinking your problems or the goals that you want to achieve. Especially when it comes to New Year's resolutions, so many people make them and then they don't do anything to achieve these goals. But then they wait until the next year because they're too busy planning about it and they're too busy thinking about it. Because they just spend the rest of their year thinking about the plan and thinking about, oh, I'm going to do that next year, or oh, I'm going to start that next year. But that doesn't make sense. Why would you wait until the beginning of the year to start to change your life when you can start it now? My second tip is to split your big plans into smaller goals. Most of the times when you have huge plans that can change your life, you can feel very stressful thinking about all the steps it would take to achieve that. So it's best to just split them up in your mind and think about achieving those smaller goals rather than the whole entire goal. For example, if you want to start a company, don't think about just starting a company in general or becoming a CEO. Think about, how are you going to learn how to start the company? Are you going to hire people? What are you going to name it? Just the smaller parts where you're not just thinking it as the whole that can just seem overwhelming to you. My next tip is to have small goals. Most people often have New Year's resolutions like these where it's just a specific goal that's easy to do, like not drinking soda or not consuming sugar, but then they realize that it's actually harder than they thought it would be, so they give up. But you have to realize that changing your life or changing your mindset is going to be very hard, so you can't just realize that one goal is hard to do, even if it's small, and give up on it. It's important to have these small goals so that you can work on yourself while you're working on your big plans. It may also help to have someone achieve these small goals with you. And that leads into my next tip, where you should tell one person in your life about your plans. Because this person can hold you accountable. Now, it's important to know that you probably shouldn't tell several people about your plans just because you don't want to feel the pressure of having to achieve that or knowing that other people are waiting for you to achieve that goal. So it's best to just tell one person that you trust that isn't going to judge you about how long it's taking to achieve your goals, but they may be there to push you so that you don't give up. And they can also serve as motivation if they're working on their goals while you are too. But it is very important to keep your plans to yourself, just because you don't want to give others a chance to put you down. Sometimes people will hear that you have these huge plans for your life and tell you that you probably won't achieve that or that they think that you can never do that. But that's not very good for your motivation. So it's best to just tell someone that cares about you, that knows you can do it. My next tip is to assess where you're at. And this is similar to what you would do when you're planning your goals, but this is when you've already started working on yourself and you just need to take some time to step back and think, am I at where I thought I was going to be? Do I like what I'm doing? Do I still want to have this goal in mind? And this is especially important for people who are in college, just because so many people want to change their major. They may go in wanting something and figure out that they want something else a couple years later. And this is where you need to remember that it is okay to change your plans. There are so many people that are afraid to change what they want to do just because they feel as though they put in so much work to the other plan that they don't want to change it now. And this is something called the sunk cost fallacy. And this is where people are afraid to change what they're doing because they feel they put in too much time to the first plan. But the whole reason why this is a fallacy is because that time is gone. You can't get that time back. So why would you continue to push forward and do something that you don't actually want? And you really have to think about it in this way, where all the time you've spent trying to achieve that goal or trying to work towards that thing has still helped you become a better person. Especially if you're in school, going to all your classes and just doing the things for whatever major you had before is still gonna help you when it comes to learning and when it comes to discipline. So even though it may take you a couple more years to graduate, you still have grown while doing the first thing. So just don't be afraid to change. And when you think about it, it really does not make sense to stay with something that you don't like, especially if you're young and you have the chance to change something, then you should do it. Because sometimes once you get older, you don't have the comfort to change. You don't have the time to work on something else. So if you're in a season where you're thinking about changing, you should do that. Because your life will be way more fulfilling if you're doing something that you actually enjoy. And sometimes it takes action in order to realize if you actually want something. Because it's very easy to think, oh, I want to do this, oh, I want to do that. But then you actually try to do it and realize this is way too hard. I don't like it. I don't enjoy doing this. So you just actually have to jump in and try that thing in order to realize whether you like it or not. I really stress this because there are so many people who have one vision for their life and then they end up doing something completely different. So especially if you're younger, you can't think, oh, this is my plan right now and it's never going to change. It's okay to stick with the plan right now, but if you're so stuck in your ways, then that can really hinder your growth. My last tip is to not be afraid to be different. And I know that may sound a little cheesy, but there are so many people who don't achieve the goals that they want to just because they're so scared of what others will think of them. And that's why I said before to not tell others your plans, because you don't want to have to worry about what they think about you. And you also have to realize that you are not that important. And I don't mean this in a mean way, but a lot of the times we can get in our heads and think everyone's staring at us. Everyone's thinking about us, everyone's talking about us, but they're probably not. And sometimes they are, but you really have to be okay with that. And you also have to realize that you think you're so important to others because you're so important to yourself. You're always thinking about yourself. You're always worried about yourself. So you don't need to worry about others worrying about you. Because even if they are, what are you going to do about it? You can't stop them from thinking about you. You can't stop them from talking about you. So this is when you just need to block those people out and just do what you need to do. Do that thing that's different. Do the thing that other people don't do. Because most successful people go on a different path from others. There are 5 categories of adopters, and this is in terms of people who adopt technology or products, but you can apply this to your life. There are innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. And you want to be an innovator. Most successful people are the ones who do something first. They have that different idea. They have that thing that's just so special. And the people that support you will be the early adopters. And then the next people will come, and the next people will come. To where you shouldn't be worried about being different because it's best to be different. It's best to be that innovator and the person that does something first. Ultimately, the key to success is to take the time to work on your life. Don't just say you're going to do something. Don't just say you're going to change, but you actually need to do it. And these tips will help you focus on your goals and reframe your way of thinking. And these tips will help you focus on your goals and reframe your way of thinking. If you liked this video, please leave a like and comment down below what your favorite tip was. Thanks for watching. Bye.